Hey guys, so I decided to make a video because a lot of you guys have been asking me like the process that I had to go through so far for enlistment. So I haven't done the medical part yet for MEPS, but I have taken the ASVAB test already. So the ASVAB test, it's basically what I had to go through personally was like three different parts, three different types of tests. It was more or less the same thing though. When I first went to my recruiter's office, I took the practice one. And mind you, I graduated back in June and it's October now. So I haven't really been in school for 5 months. So I haven't done any math, reading, science, history, none of that stuff. So I've basically just been brainwashed for 5 months. I took the practice test. It was 20 questions. Wasn't that long, about an hour, 30 minutes, around there, something like that. But I basically bombed it in a bad way. I got a 31. It's passing, but yeah. For those of you who don't know, the minimum is 31. So I was like really upset. I was like, oh my god, like, how am I supposed to get into the army with 31? I'm gonna have to be infantry, and I don't want to do that. Da da da. I was freaking out. So then I did a bunch of practice tests. There's an app actually called ASVAB Mastery. I highly recommend you guys download that. It basically gives you like the whole entire ASVAB, like the long one, the one that's like 3 hours. So let me explain to you the process I went through. So after the practice test, I got scheduled for the PICAT. Now I don't know if you guys know what a PICAT is, but it's like the new ASVAB. Basically, you take it there at the recruiting office, and it is not timed. You take it at your own pace, which I think is great. And you're in a much more comfortable setting, so it's basically a way for people to score a lot higher. I was done with it within like 2 hours, which usually the max is 3 hours when you go and take the ASVAB at MEPS. After all of the practice tests and the studying that I did, which by the way, to study for the ASVAB, there's not really much you can do. Just kind of go back to your basics, do some reading, study some, words that you maybe don't understand. Practice on your context clues for sure, because one thing that they do a lot for like word knowledge is they give you a sentence and then they go, okay, this word, what does it mean based on what you just read? So if you have a hard time being able to determine what a word means based on what it like says around it, definitely try to like work on that. I'm pretty sure you can look up exercises and stuff like that to practice things like that. But you also want to study like multiplication, division, pre-algebra. Personally, it was a lot of pre-algebra, like basic type of algebra, like a plus b equals c. Not many formulas. But then again, I'm pretty sure it's different for everybody. I don't know if it's the same questions for everybody. I'm more than 100% sure it varies. But just try to go back to your roots, like college, not college, listen to me, high school level type of, stuff. The test is at a 10th grade level. So when people fail it, like, it's kind of embarrassing, like, that's 10th grade, like, that. But then again, like it's been quite a few years. So after all the practicing that I did, all the practice tests, the studying, whatever, I only studied for about 4 days till I was scheduled for the PICAT at the recruiting office, and I actually scored a 92. So, see, it's a huge improvement. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention ASVAB Mastery, the app. You get the full version for free for 24 hours. After that, you have to pay $15.99, which personally, if I had more time to study, I would have definitely just continued, paid the $15.99 and continued using the app, because the app actually is pretty helpful. It literally breaks down the sections. So let's say you're having, I would say before you get the app, take some practice tests, see what sections you're having the hardest time with, then get the app and just focus on those sections, because then if you're good with the other ones, you're going to stay good. So nothing to worry about. So I scored a 92. So then after that, since they do have the new thing where you can test at the recruiting station, that's why now they have to do a confirmation test. which basically just says, oh, my recruiter did not help me and I did not cheat on the test. you go to MEPS really, really early, which I was kind of upset because they made us get there at 7 in the morning. We weren't able to walk into the building till 7:30, and then we didn't even go to testing till like 10:30. And then what they do is, it's called the CAT ASVAB, which is like computer administered test. There we go. So it's like the computer version of the ASVAB. So what they do is, for the confirmation test, they take the exact same questions that you already took. They might do like 3 to 5 questions that they change, but they give you 30 questions and you have 45 minutes to answer them. Now, my recruiter did say that if you take more than the time given, it'll roll over to the ASVAB, like the actual ASVAB, and you have to sit there for 4 hours and take the test. But it also does choose randomly who it wants to test for the 4 hours. So I can't really sit here and be like, oh, if you finish before the 45 minutes, you get to go home. No, like, if you get randomly picked, then you have to take the 4 hour. Luckily, I didn't have to do that. So, but yeah, it was really easy. I was actually one of the first ones to leave because I only got 3 questions that I didn't know. But all of them, like, as soon as I saw them, I was like, oh, I know this already. So I just, picked my answer, kept going, whatever. There's also a tapas test, which is like a personality test. I know that they used to grade for it. I don't know if they still do it in certain parts of the U.S., but for me personally, my recruiter said that they don't grade the tapas test because, everybody's different. So he was like, oh, just click through it. You don't have to. I mean, if you want to sit through it, you can. I was originally going to sit through it, but then I saw 140 questions or 120, I can't remember. And I was tired. I just wanted to leave. I was extremely hungry because they had us there since like early in the morning, sitting in a chair. You can't move. You can't talk. Like, it was just really annoying. But yeah. But overall, the ASVAB is not a hard test to pass. It really isn't. It is a lot of the things that you learned in high school, So, for those of you that are older, that didn't recently come out of high school, I do recommend you do the practice test. Go back to studying algebra, division, multiplication. If you don't know how to do this, but adding and subtracting. Paragraph reading, word knowledge, what else? Also do your science. Do some science. You have to do earth-based science, which is like the basics, like why does the plant grow or stuff like that, It's a lot of the basic stuff you learned in high school, but I know most of us, we don't really remember it because once we get out of high school, we're like, yes, finally we're done. But definitely go back and study all that. Go back into your old notebooks if you do have them. Like, personally, me, I've kept all of my algebra books because even now that I'm in college, I do take college algebra. I like to go back and refer to some old notes that I used to take. But yeah, overall, it's pretty easy. I will be listing the websites that I use, though. That way you guys can check them out. It helped me out a lot. One thing I will say, though, do not take the same practice test more than once. Don't do it because it's just going to give you the same questions over and over and over. And then, eventually you're going to memorize the answers. You're going to be like, oh, I've got this down packed. Like, no. Try to go to as many different websites as possible. The one recommended by most recruiters is March for Success or March to Success. Can't remember, but I will be listing it down below. I personally couldn't use that website because for some reason my laptop is just retarded like that. So, whatever. But yeah, I hope you guys, not enjoyed the video because it's pretty boring, I'm not gonna lie. But I hope it helps you guys out in some sort of way. A lot of my friends have asked me to make a video just because they're interested in joining. Haven't done YouTube in quite some time because, I'm just not really interested anymore. But I hope it's somewhat informative for you guys. Yeah, I guess I'll see you next time after MEPS. Bye!